Good morning, everyone. If you're joining from New York, we have a huge sign up for this webinar. So welcome, guys. Welcome you all from whichever part of the world you're joining. It is an exciting day in Southern California. That's where I am. And today we are going to talk about this great opportunity and what does it mean for us and how do we handle this opportunity? Those kind of things. So let's begin. So today's topic is generative AI for professionals. Let's go. So what is this opportunity, generative AI for and large language models in from 2023 to 2025 or 2030? So we did some stats analysis and tried to find out what is it. It's from McKinsey, about $4.4 trillion shift. From 2.6 to 4.4. Average person in US is impacted close to 14,000, and there are 63 business use cases which has been analyzed so far, which are most impacted. I don't have a list for 63, so that's what we are talking. This is me. My name is Arshad, and I have a background in AI for last almost 15-20 years. I upgraded myself going to Sister Labs at MIT. I'm from MIT Sloan Business Executive Education side. So that's my background, and I'm the Chief AI Officer and founder of DevMasters. These are a couple of our credentials. We have been top rated in multiple places, including CIO Magazine and others. On the B2B side, we work with known clients, General Electric, US Navy, and a couple of others. So let's look at this opportunity. It's $15.7 trillion industry change and economical impact by 2030. And that excites me. I think this is bigger or similar to what the internet was. So let's look at it. What does this change means for all of us? As we talk, there are $2.6 to $4.4 trillion shift for us in US. 70% of workforce is impacted through this process and 50% are automated. So that's a huge change. Now let's look at what areas will impact most. From numbers point of view, 1.2 trillion is sales and marketing. 1.2 trillion is software engineering. 1.1 is other function. Research and development about 0.4, and customer and operations 0.3. Sorry, 0.4. We will look at the use cases for this in detail a little bit so you can understand how these things are applied. Now, from the vertical point of view, industry vertical, 20% improvement in healthcare, which we have a use case today, financials, real estate, and education. These are the four areas where we as a company also operate in healthcare, real estate, and education. For people who are into job shift or new job seeker or skill builders, these are the numbers which will make it sense. Like new jobs are created about 25%, job transformation 20%, and skill development is 10%. AI, education, and training. Now, today's topic, these are the things I will try to cover in detail, is defining what's generative AI, how it works, what are the model types, and how to build applications around it. These are some platforms which we have built in AI space in general, and now we are fine-tuning this for generative AI using the large language model. Medical rehab bot was built, it's called SoberBuddy, by us, and it was NLG, natural language generator. In real estate, we did evaluation in Singapore, where we do property evaluations using AI. They were not Gen AI, but AI. And now I'm using large language models to increase some semantic data. Same story is here on the fashion side. We have a makeup app, which we have been working for almost 2-3 years now. And the biggest challenge during this process was the data. So I'll show you how did we change that direction using large language model. We are based in Irvine. That's where our headquarters is. And this is our team, the most diversified team you can imagine. We have the whole world in one room almost. This is my leadership team. Before I go further, this part I always miss it. So our ecosystem has three components. How do we work? One is what you're seeing right now is educational style workshop and boot camps, where it's not targeted to deliver something on demand. It's mostly building your skills by doing hands-on work. It target audience are sometimes master's students, PhDs, professionals, and we do it in two format: in-person skill building, experience in workshops, and bootcamp style teaching. That's the B2C model. Now, AI consulting services, we do this full time, where we build models or prototype for startups or mid-sized companies using Gen AI, large language models, AI, in general, prototype, and mid-sized companies. For example, that was one of the things we did in fashion as well as in Singapore operation. This is for joint venture partnerships. This is our third business model, where we have platforms or we build platforms between two. We have master healthcare, real estate, and education. So benefit of this coming through this process for us is we kind of become your partner, and also sometime we invest into the deal if we like it. This is the office where I sit. It's in Orange. So if you are local, you could definitely visit. We sometimes host workshops like this in person too. You can check the website for it. So now let's start on the content. This image has a lot of spelling mistakes, and I did it purposely. It said Generative AI for professionals. It was not typo. This is generated by BERT. Tally, which is a large image model. And I just took me 3 minutes to do it. But what we are going to talk is generative AI for professionals today, and go into a little bit more detail. So let's start now. What is Gen AI, how it works, and what are the model types? We'll look at that. So before 2023 or even in 2020, there's artificial intelligence, and there's data science, and there's machine learning. So all this thing falls under AI sector. Machine learning is part of artificial intelligence. Now let's look at what are the three major segments: deep learning, machine learning, and AI. So we'll come to AI is a discipline. Machine learning is a subfield of AI. Machine learning has two kinds, supervised and unsupervised machine learning, which possibly, when there's a labeled data, we do the supervised part. Unsupervised is when there's no labeled data, we try to categorize the data or the prediction. That's unsupervised. I'll keep it short. So supervised learning has an input, model, prediction Y, and expected output. In unsupervised, the data is their model, and generate an example out of it. That means it will classify something red, blue, or it's labeled or not labeled, those kind of things. Now, deep learning uses artificial neuron, allows to process more complex patterns than traditional ones. So that's the deep learning models. So if we look at all three together, machine learning, supervised, unsupervised, deep learning has two parts, reinforcement learning and deep learning. Reinforcement learning is basically punishment and reward process, and deep learning is like your brain work, deep neural network. We'll look at that. So this is what deep learning network look like. You have certain inputs in such going to it, and then you have a hidden layer, and the output is generated. It works similar to how our brain works, where you can see a text or hear a voice. That's an input. Your mind interprets certain experiences, and based on those experiences, it gives you an output in a very simplified way. Now, let's come to, we have looked at what is AI, what is machine learning, what kind of machine learning models are there, but what is deep learning? Now, let's look at what is Gen AI. That's what the whole point was. Gen AI is a subset of deep learning, and what it does different than deep learning, we'll talk about it. So, deep learning model types, this is very important concept, discriminative and generative. Discriminative is used to classify or predict, typically trained on a data set with labeled data, learn the relationship between features of the data point and labels. Generative is generates a new data that is similar to the data it's trained on and understand the distribution of data and how is likely to give an example. We'll see more on generative side now. So discriminative techniques you classify, which we have been doing in till ChatGPT or large language models came. We were training CNN, RNN models to classify most of the time. Is it dog or not dog? Is it a number or facial recognition and all those things? Now, generative technique, this model generates an image. So it generates an output based on the training set it has been trained on and the input you give to it, which is called prompting. We're going to look that also in detail. Now let's look at predictive and generative. What are the difference? So in predictive, you learn the relationship between the data and label and you predict something out of it. In generative, you learn the pattern in an unstructured content and then generate a new content out of it, like the way you use ChatGPT. So in ML system and generative systems, what are the difference? In non-generative, why output is a number, discrete, class, and probability. In generative, you have three outputs. Right now, it will be more in coming future, but like 3D modeling is part of now ChatGPT 4.5. But right now with ChatGPT 4, you get natural language, image, and audio. These are the three outputs you can get. So let's look at the one I said, like before 2012, what was happening is when we trained deep learning models, is basically we were able to classify is this cat or not. Now with the new generative supervised and semi-supervised and unsupervised learning, these are the three basic things we have achieved. Very, very good in terms of OpenAI and BERT and all those new large language models which are coming. So you can generate code, you can generate labeled data, you can input code, labeled data, unlabeled data, generate a new content out of it. So if you just give a piece of code and you can modify the code, generate the code, new content if you prompt him to write a paragraph or poem, and image generation with DALL-E or something like that. So these are the ways to look at the large language models and generative AI. So the change here is Llama, Palm, GPT. Before we were saying, is this cat or not cat, to a point where now we can say a cat is, what does it do, is cute or white or blue, whatever way you want to look at it. So what is Gen AI? This field of AI creates a new content based on what is learned from existing content, which is a large language model in terms of OpenAI, trained on the whole internet. The process of learning an existing content is called training, and results are created by statistical modeling. We'll see how our next sentences or other things are formed in detail. When a prompt, Gen AI uses statistical model to predict an example, and response might be a generated new content. So it's the same thing. You can give three input, either code, image, text, and it will generate similar based on your prompt what the desired output is. So language model and image model, that's part of generative modeling. If you give a text input, these are the possible outputs you can get. Translate, summarize, code Q&A, grammar correction. So I don't use Grammarly anymore. Those kind of things are gone now. Image output, audio, discrete game playing. The image, You can caption, visual questions, image search. You can change the resolution and animate. This is BERT, so it just says that can you make a sandwich, and possibly you'll get some answer out of it. So model type, text-to-text generator. Now we are entering into what are the Gen AI model types. So text-to-text generator applications are generation, classification, summarization, translate, research, clustering. Text-to-image, it generates an image. If you look like DALL-E, and also edits an image. Not only generate, if you can, I don't know, I did not test it, if you can upload an image and can you modify that. I did not test it that part, but you can definitely ask to change the colors, schema, size, all those things are possible now. Text to video 3D, as I said, it's coming. 3D one is ChatGPT 4.5. Text to video, there are a lot of tools which if you just prompt the text and it can generate a video out of it. They are not that good yet, but it's doable. Generative AI landscape for marketing, code, image, as we've been talking, speech, video editing, 3D modeling, and gaming. So this is if you are someone who is trying to build an application or startup, this is a landscape where see which part of Gen AI you're going to use it. And what models to use, we'll talk more in detail. So in my first use case today, I hope still right now, the summary was what's the difference between AI, machine learning, deep learning, and generative AI? What does generative and discriminative do in detail, and what kind of outputs you get through these models? So we are going to look at a use case, how to use generative AI. Again, this is the DALL-E image generator, which made a spelling mistake, gentic rather than generative AI for marketing, but I kept it. It's so beautiful image. These are the application landscape for if you are looking for tools, and this is by no means the whole set. It's every day there's a new tool coming all the time. So we'll look at the customer service use case. This has gone like I was watching yesterday some videos on this, and voice recognition and detection banks are using. When you call, they take your voice and say you are that person or not. If you play a recording of yourself, sometimes it's able to figure out that you recorded your voice and someone else is playing. One use case in customer service, it can mimic your voice, it can train your voice. You don't need to speak anymore. I did it myself, a test where I recorded my voice, and now you can feed a book to it. It will read by itself with your own voice. Those things are right now very active in marketing world. So this use case is to describe what's the relationship between large language model and customer service problem. So we'll look at it. These are a couple of challenges in ChatGPT which has been solved. By this time, this slide is old. Like for example, has no direct access to ChatGPT. Now you have APIs. You can, and I'll also show you what are the tools like LangChain, Llama Index, and other multiple combination, how you can tap into ChatGPT. Better Target GPT-4 is out. I use it already myself. So that's customization of models. Now let's look at this. These are some challenges for, let's say, after call work, customer service support, and large language model correlationship. IBM has a very good customer service model. Watson, I think so. I haven't checked it. Where you can also tap in on the huge database. So let's say I'm selling pharmaceutical products, or I'm selling genomics products. I have no clue, and I'm a customer service rep. These models can get you a prompt and a screen of whatever the customer is asking in few seconds, and you can respond to it. So that portion is called summarization, simplify, all this thing, content creation and augmentation, knowledge asset. Then after call summarization, you can do CSS, customer service, tone of the content. So you can literally tap into large language models for all these sales activities. Now, we have so far understood what's generative AI.